Oh, yeah, and so you get to that point, and it was November the 8th of 1981, and I went into my room by myself. It was a Sunday afternoon. I took a yellow legal pad like I'd been taught at law school, and I put a line down the middle, and on one side I put the evidence I had seen that is convincing me that Jesus is the Son of God who proved it by returning from the dead, and the other side the negative evidence. And I'm writing page after page after page, and finally I put down my pen, and I said, wait a minute. In light of the avalanche of evidence that points so powerfully toward the truth of Christianity, it would have required more faith for me to maintain my atheism than to become a Christian. Because to maintain my atheism, I would have to swim upstream against this torrent of evidence flowing the other way. I was trained in journalism and law to respond to truth. And I couldn't deny it. I couldn't swim upstream anymore. And so I said, Lord Jesus, I believe. I believe that you are the Son of God who proved it by returning from the dead. But what do I do? What do I do? And I remember somebody had pointed out a verse to me, John 1:12, and I looked it up. John 12, but as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, even to those who believed in his name. And I realized that believing in him entailed receiving him. It meant not just having intellectual agreement with church doctrine. It meant receiving Jesus as my forgiver and leader. And so I prayed and I turned from a life of immorality and sin, and I confessed it, and I received forgiveness for that from Jesus Christ. And I just said, God, I just want to follow you. I want to live the way you designed me to live for the rest of my life. And
how'd that affect your family?
Well, I went out and I told my wife, and she just burst into tears, and she threw her arms around me. She said, you hard-hearted son of a Baptist, I've been telling you this for 2 years, hello, But she said, I told people I don't have no hope for my husband. And they gave her a verse, Ezekiel 36:26. And all during this 2 years that I was doing this investigation, behind the scenes, my wife was praying Ezekiel 36:26. Moreover, I will give you a new heart, and I will put a new spirit within you. I will remove that heart of stone, and I will give you a heart of flesh. Mm-hmm. And John, as I opened my life to Jesus, he began to change my values, my worldview, my philosophy, my attitudes, my priorities, my parenting, my marriage, my relationships. All of this over time began to change for the good.
The big one that I thought was Allison, your daughter.
Yeah. All she knew the first 5 years of her life was a dad who was angry and drunken or absent. And as she watched as God began to change my life in front of her little eyes, after several months, she went up to my wife, and she'd actually said this first to her Sunday school teacher. But she went up and she said, I want God to do for me what he's done for Daddy. And at age 5, she opened her heart. She received forgiveness through Christ. She became a Christian. Now she's 31 years old. She writes Christian novels. My son, same thing, came to faith, and now he's got master's degrees in philosophy of religion and New Testament. He's getting his PhD in theology because he says, Dad, there's a whole generation out there that doesn't understand. This is not wishful thinking. This is not legend. This is not made up. This is historically true. I said, son, you study and you learn and you go tell your generation. John, Jesus changed my life, my eternity, my family, and that's my story.